Yeah. What's going on, guys? It is Will here, back again once again for another episode of the Gridiron Talk podcast. NFL Week 12, episode, is it 4? I think episode 4 of the new and improved the Gridiron Talk podcast. First things first, let me just shout out my boy Joey for doing the thumbnail for me and Shane once again. This week we got Justin Jefferson, Jalen Hurts, and Aaron Rodgers. Now, my policy is I never put the same player twice on the thumbnail during the regular season. So if I did, I would have to put Jonathan Taylor on it again. But, because that dude's just a dog. He's a monster. But, I always like to switch it up. So Aaron Rodgers, Justin Jefferson, and Jalen Hurts. So, Shane, before we get into this episode, how you doing, man? You doing good?
I'm doing pretty good. My Bucks, did what they
Shut
had
the hell
to do
up.
against your Giants.
Shut the hell up. I mean, I told Shane I was watching at the bar. I wanted to tell the bartender, just can you just? I know I'm 19, but I can legally drink in every other country. I can legally join the military. I deserve a drink after watching my team getting pounded on national TV.
It is very upsetting that your left tackle has more touchdowns than your two best wide receivers.
No, yeah, and then we got some good news with the Giants. We got a lot of news actually for a midseason episode. Let's just jump right into it. We got Thanksgiving coming up. We got some meh games. We got one game that makes you want to, just go outside and hang out with my family and not actually watch the game. But regardless, we're going to get right into it, man. So let's get into the news. Like I said, we have a bunch of news. So we got the Denver Broncos extend Cortland Sutton to a 4-year, $60.8 million contract extension, which if you know anything about the Broncos, Cortland Sutton is a complete dog. I love Cortland Sutton. And to me, this is just them extending one of the best receivers in the NFL that doesn't really get a lot of love. He's a great receiver. He just needs to get his targets up. And the Broncos may have one of the best receiving corps in the NFL. Well, I mean, what do you think about them? Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, and Tim Patrick. Do you think they are a great trio? Or
I mean, they're very young, so it's very hard to describe how good they are right now. Like I said, they're very young. I feel like they're going to be a great trio within the next coming years once they, develop and get better. But they're one of the best young trios in the NFL right now.
And I think that if they had a quarterback to throw to them, Aaron Rodgers going to Denver, they would be even better. But regardless, that's a great signing for the Denver Broncos. They extend one of their best players on offense for 4 more years. Now, good news is for Giants fans, we fire offensive coordinator Jason Garrett. Woo! Yeah! Dude's a bum. He didn't know how to use Saquon Barkley, Kadarius Toney, and he was just trash. He was dog water. I think he was working undercover for Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys because he was literally doggy. So bye-bye, Jason Garrett. You will not be missed. Kind of surprising, me and Shane were talking about this. The Titans released Adrian Peterson. I'm not really too sure why. I mean, I do think that it makes somewhat sense as they have a younger running back as Derrick Henry's backup. Plus, Derrick Henry is going to be back before the season ends. Supposedly, he should be back the last week of the season or the second to last week of the season. So, what are your thoughts on Adrian Peterson and getting released?
I personally think it was not the smartest move. And just because when Adrian Peterson was in, he contributed. I think he had 2 or 3 touchdowns.
I know he had a touchdown against the Rams in his very first game. He got a touchdown. I know that's a fact.
Yeah, he got a touchdown. I mean, he's old, but come on, Derrick Henry's backup. I don't know much about him. I do know he wasn't living up to the standards, but what backup does. And even then, you have an experienced running back that can help him. Obviously Henry's out, but he can still help him until he gets back. But I don't know. I feel like this is a very, very weird move by the Titans. But who knows? Who knows what they were, addressing with Adrian Peterson.
So the next topic we have is a very interesting one, to say the least. I don't really know how to describe it. But Everson Griffin ended his stakeout or his holdout with the police. So if you guys don't know, again, this is very confusing and somewhat concerning as well. What happened was Everson Griffin reported a robbery at his house in Minnesota. and he I guess he fired some shots at the intruder, and he refused to come out of his house. Again, this is very confusing. And then it turned out later that the police discovered that there was nobody in his house at all, and he was just going through some mental health episode. Very confusing situation. Everson Griffin is now like outside of his house. He is, excuse me, something fell. He's getting the treatment that he needs and stuff, but overall, a very odd situation to say the least. But like I said before to you, Shane, mental health is wealth, man. I mean, look at Calvin Ridley. He stepped away from football to take time off for his mental health, and that is the end of the line, man. You know, if you don't have yourself, you don't have anybody. At the end of the day, all you have is yourself.
That's facts. That's facts.
So my prayers, mine and Shane's prayers go out to Everson Griffin. I hope he gets the help he needs, whatever he needs, you know. And if anyone else is having some mental health problems watching this podcast, you know, just always know that you are loved. You know, if I could just, you know, make it serious for a minute. I know me and Shane, you know, we like to have fun on this, but if we could just make it a serious tone for a minute, you know, you are loved. You know, I know Everson Griffin is a hell of a player, but it just proves you that, and also with Calvin Ridley, that just because they're famous, that does not mean they have, you know, they're perfect inside. So you are loved. If you ever need someone to talk to, you know, me and Shane are always open. We're always free to reach out on social media. You always have the 1-800 number for suicide, 1-800-273-8255. If you ever feel like you're really in a very dark place. But regardless, I'm glad that Everson Griffin is getting the help he needs. So with that, the news being done, let's get into the games. You know, a little bit of a more happy tone. We got Thanksgiving tomorrow. Let's hope you guys all have a good Thanksgiving. But, you know, this game is going to be terrible, and I'm not really looking forward to watching it. I'm going to have to talk to my weird cousins that play Fortnite, that have the crusty iPads and shit. So I'm not really looking forward to watching this game. But it's the Chicago Bears at 3-7 versus the Lions, who are 0-9-1. And the Lions are 3-point underdogs. So, you know what I'll be doing during this game, Shane?
Yawn.
And also, to make it worse, Justin Fields and Jared Goff ain't playing. You know, they're both not very good, but they're the starting quarterback. So it's going to be Andy Dalton versus Tim Boyle on Thanksgiving. You know what I say to that? Yay. Nobody wants to watch this game, all right? But in all seriousness, right, we got the Detroit Lions, who are 0-9-1, who have a hell of a head coach. I think that dude brings a lot of energy, Dan Campbell. Then we got the Chicago Bears, who are basically just begging Matt Nagy to get fired. They're chanting it at his high school son's football games. They're chanting it at Chicago Bulls games, Chicago Blackhawks games, Chicago White Sox, Cubs. Every single Chicago sport wants Matt Nagy fired. It's kind of funny, actually, in a way. But, you know, there's not much to talk about this game as it's such a bland game. So, Shane, would you have any thoughts to add on the Bears playing the Lions in the first game on Thanksgiving Day?
You see, I thought this game's gonna suck. That's my thoughts. But I was really hoping Justin Fields would play, because this would, you know, he would actually have a good game against the Lions defense, because they're god awful. But we're gonna see, you know, Andy Dalton, who can't throw anything past 10 yards or can't throw a simple, you know, curl route. And I never even heard of this Tim Boyle guy till earlier when I saw that Jared Goff wouldn't be playing. It's going to be a great game. Great game.
Yeah, we got DeAndre Swift from Georgia, right, Shane?
Yeah, that's the guy I'm maybe watching the entire time, because he's the only good player out there.
Shane, you nervous about Cincinnati playing Georgia in the first round of the playoffs?
Listen, I'm hoping your Michigan boys come in and take that spot, because I wanna see you cry at the hands of Georgia, as you did with the Buccaneers and the Giants game.
Yeah. All right, Shane, let's make it to give you our pick now before I kick you off the show.
My pick is gonna be. I think this is actually gonna be a close game, even though it's you know, not a very good game. I have the Bears winning 17-14.
I also have the Bears winning a little bit higher score, but I think the Bears are going to win 20-17.
All right, and with that, we'll go on to our next game, which will be the Raiders, who are 5-5, and versus the Cowboys, who are 7-3, and the Cowboys are 7.5-point favorites. Sorry. The Cowboys and the Raiders are started off really, really well. Especially the Cowboys. They've been struggling the past couple of weeks though, with some injuries. Their wide receiver. It feels like half their wide receivers got hurt. Their last game, and then Ezekiel Elliott also got a little banged up last week. He should be fine, but what are your thoughts on the Cowboys and their situation with their wide receivers?
I think this is the biggest factor on why, spoiler alert, I have the Raiders winning. Now, if it was just the Cowboys and the Raiders straight up, I'm taking the Cowboys every single day of the week. But now we have the Cowboys without Amari Cooper or CeeDee Lamb, and I think this is a big factor on why the Cowboys will not win this game. And don't get me wrong, I like Michael Gallup, but at the end of the day, it's just like I feel like that the Cowboys need Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. It's just a fact, like if you take away any team, not just the Cowboys, but if you take away your two top receivers on any team, you're going to struggle,
Yeah, I mean, with the Cowboys, they had the most, their first and I believe yards per game. So they're one of the most dynamic offenses in the NFL right now. But without those two big wide receivers, you kind of have to rely on mixing it up with more of the running game. With CeeDee Lamb having a concussion, and it's gonna be interesting how this game goes.
Yeah, and on the Raiders side of the ball, now we haven't really talked about the Raiders, but they got a very good offense that's not really being utilized right. If you check out my other podcast on Ultimate Sports Network about the Raiders, Raider Nation Today, I'm going to put that in the link below. And no, I will not stop linking that podcast because I want your money. I'm like Mr. Krabs. Hello, I like money. But in all seriousness, like if you check out my podcast, I specifically say like this team is a very good offensive team, but like their offensive coordinator sucks. You got Hunter Renfrow, you got Brian Edwards, you got D-Jax, you got Darren Waller, and it just seems like they can't get it going on offense. So the Raiders' real issue is the play calling, and the Cowboys in this game, their issue is the fact that two guys are injured. But don't worry, guys. Don't worry. I got some breaking news from a Cowboys fan saying Trayvon Diggs can guard Darren Waller.
Oh, that's great. That is great.
So Trayvon Diggs will, against Darren Waller here, allow 7 catches for 120 yards plus 2 touchdowns, but he'll get 1 interception. So that's why he's the defensive player of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Excuse me. But I think the Raiders are going to win this game, like I said, because CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper aren't there. I got the Raiders winning 24-21. What about you, Shane?
I still have faith in the Cowboys. I think Ezekiel Elliott and their run game is gonna do very well. I still think Dak Prescott is still gonna do what he's been doing all year, and that's ball out. I have the Cowboys winning 27-13.
Next game we got the Buffalo Bills, who are 6-4 against the New Orleans Saints, who are 5-5, and the Saints are 6-point underdogs in this game. Now, surprisingly, the Bills are no longer in first in the AFC because of Big Mac Jones and the Patriots. And the Saints are going to be without their best offensive player, Alvin Kamara, and this offense is looking very depleted. Now, Shane, my question to you for this one is it time to hit the panic button on the Buffalo Bills? Not only like winning the AFC East, but they are currently like the 7th seed in the AFC. So is it time to hit the panic button on making the playoffs altogether, or no?
No, I think it's way too early for that. Down the line, if they continue this struggle, like of barely winning games or losing games they should win, and, all that stuff. The Patriots sneaked into first place. I think they've won like 6 in a row. 5 in a row,
6 or 5 in a row, something like that. Yeah,
5 in a row.
Like that, yeah.
While the Bills started out, I think they started out 3-1, and now I think their last 6 games they've been 3-3. But I wouldn't say it's the panic button for the playoffs. It is the panic button for the AFC East because now it's a competition. Patriots are looking great so far. even with a rookie quarterback, Belichick, I still, even without Tom Brady, I still think he's the best coach to ever, coach in the NFL. But I don't think it's a real panic situation right now for the playoffs. But to win the division, you gotta tighten up right now and get together.
What do you feel about the Saints? You think because technically, I think the Saints are the 7th seed in the NFC. Do you think they hold on, or do you think they get jumped? Do you think they make the playoffs or no?
I don't think they make the playoffs. Especially if they lose this game. If they lose this game, it's going to be very hard to come back. You have the Panthers who are playing, a little bit better. You got the Falcons. They're, you don't know what to expect from them. And then obviously you have Tampa Bay at the top of that division. So they're obviously not going to win the division. But overall, I think that division is the most complex to decide who's going to make it or not, obviously outside of the Buccaneers. Just because how Panthers and the Falcons have been, red hot and then ice cold this whole year. So I don't think Panthers, or my bad, the Saints are in the worst position right now out of everybody in that division to make the playoffs, just because, Winston's out, Thomas is out, and they're not winning. So I think the season's over for them playoff wise. So it's going to be interesting how they go along the rest of the year, though.
Who's your pick to win this game, Shane?
I have the Bills winning 20-14.
I also have the Bills winning in a little bit more of a scoring game, 27-17. So
right.
Next game, Shane's gonna take it off because, this team makes me want to gouge my eyes out.
It's Will's favorite team, the Steelers, who are 5-4-1 versus the Bengals, who are 6-4. Bengals are 4.5-point favorites. Bengals have had the Steelers number this year. They're looking to complete a sweep on the Steelers for the first time since 2009. The Steelers offense played amazing last Sunday, but they still lost. Their defense folded, which kind of upsetted me because I had them winning. But anyways, Will, how do you think this game's going to go with the Steelers and Bengals?
Yeah, so I think the big factor into the Steelers losing last game is they just suck, and people need to accept that. All right? I mean, this team is dog shit, you know? I mean, you got the Steelers, and their fans think they're good because they got Big Ben at quarterback when he's literally worse than Daniel Jones. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if I were the Steelers, I would start to Wayne Haskins. But they won't do that because Big Ben has, probably Art Mooney, the GM of the Steelers, is probably, has some hush money to keep Big Ben at quarterback there because he's trash. But in all seriousness, I think a big impact why the Steelers lost that game because they didn't have T.J. Watt, the best pass rusher in the history of the NFL. They didn't have Minkah Fitzpatrick, the best safety in the history of the NFL. And they didn't have Joe Hayden, the best cornerback in the NFL. So I think in history, all in NFL history too. When you need a lockdown corner and it's one-on-one with Jerry Rice. Who are you taking? You taking Deion Sanders or Joe Hayden? You bet your ass I'm taking Joe Hayden, man. 9 times I'm taking Joe Hayden to clamp up Jerry Rice. Who do I need to guard Tony Gonzalez for the Kansas City Chiefs? Do I take Ronnie Rolat for the 49ers, or do I take Minkah Fitzpatrick for the Steelers? I'm taking Minkah Fitzpatrick, baby. Lawrence Taylor, who? We got T.J. Watt. That's why we're losing. We don't have Lawrence Taylor 2.0, But on the flip side of things, the Steelers' offense did play really, really well last Sunday. I'm not going to lie. Najee Harris is a dog. I've established that. Pat Freiermuth is also a dog. Deontay Johnson played great. Chase Claypool, TikTok boy, great. But on the other side of the ball, we got the Cincinnati Bengals, who Joe Mixon ran. He literally was like a truck going right through the Raiders' defense. He was running all over him. Joe Mixon played great, and Joe Mixon's on a tear. And then Joe Burrow, Joey Buckets, Joey B. He went to LSU, and he's been hot ever since he left LSU, bro. You know what I'm saying? And he's got Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd. I mean, the Bengals got a really good offense, and I really feel like this team is a playoff team. Do you have anything else to add?
I think the Bengals are gonna win the division, in my opinion. Or not the division. Hold on. I forgot about the Ravens. Hold your horse. I do think they'll make the playoffs. I don't think they'll win the division unless something happens with the Ravens. But the way the Ravens been playing, I don't think that's gonna happen. But I think the Bengals are a very underrated team this year. They're a lot better than their record, in my opinion. And the Steelers, don't really want to talk about the Steelers, in all honesty. But I do have the Bengals winning this game 23-14.
I also have the Bengals win this game 24-20. Sorry, Steelers fans. Your team's trash. Just like my team, the New York Giants. Trash. And speaking of the Giants, we're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 4-6, versus the New York Giants now, who are 3-7. And the Giants are 3.5-point underdogs. So, if I had to rank my top 3 teams who I hate the most, the Philadelphia Eagles are probably number 2. It's probably go Steelers, Eagles, Cowboys, right?
I find that hard to believe, but whatever.
I hate the Philadelphia Eagles. I despise them. I can't stand their organization. I mean, their organization's bigger than a joke than and also every single Eagles fan I know is literally crusty. Like, I've never met a single Eagles fan that is not crusty at all. Like, I'm gonna keep it a stack with you, bro. I mean, think of it. Like, when you think of Eagles fans, they're all young boy fans. They're all ghetto scum.
Hey, whoa! I'm a young boy fan. What are you trying to say here, Will?
Well, you're a Buccaneers fan, bro. I mean, you're borderline an Eagles fan with the way you be acting sometimes, though, low key. But I mean, you think of the Eagles fans, you think of people who like the same dudes who were like rioting and like looting in that Kenosha when that dude got shot. Those are the Eagles fans, bro. They're literally just menaces to society. All right. Now, and that's just a fact. I ain't trying to start a debate, with getting into all the whole political thing with, all that. But like, I mean, seriously though, like Eagles fans, like they're just all like sleazeballs, crust nuggets. I could go on and on until I'm blue in the face. I've never met a single Eagles fan. Like if I have a child, right? So if I even have kids, 40 years in the future, I got a daughter, and she's like, "Hey, Dad, I'm bringing this guy over. What's his name? John. Okay, John. So John comes over, and if he's wearing a goddamn Devontae Smith, Donovan McNabb jersey, I'm kicking his ass out of my house. Like, you ain't dating my daughter anymore, all right? Because you're a sleazeball. You like the Philadelphia Eagles, man. The Philadelphia Eagles are still talking about Big Dick Nick Foles 3 years after, bro. But there goes my rant on the Eagles. And the reason why I hate the Eagles too, boys, is because they cost us a playoff spot last year because Doug Peterson hates the Giants. He's literally a joke. But, going on back on topic, I could rant about these teams I could probably rant about every single football team, not about just the teams I hate. I could rant about every single team, So, but I mean, I could rant about how the Buccaneers are the worst team in NFL history by win percentage. I could say that to you, Shane.
Wow. Okay. All right. I'll see you.
In fact, they lost their first 26 games of the franchise.
Yeah. Let's get back to the topic here, Will. Come on now.
Sorry, Rocket. Sorry. I also, Shane, want to tell the fans why your nickname is the Rider Rocket or no?
Not this episode. Kind of put me on the spot. I didn't. We'll just say I'm very fast and I'm very, very good. How about that? I'm very.
You hit the A gap really well, huh?
Oh yeah. I really, really do. Anyways,
or should I say the V gap?
Anyways.
Anyway,
we got Eagles versus Giants here.
Yeah, Eagles Giants. Sorry, I don't want to get canceled here. I don't want to get demonetized. YouTube, don't cancel me. But the Eagles have surprisingly, I can't believe it. They have the second best rushing offense in the NFL, which is kind of crazy. But at the end of the day, I'm not really too surprised. I am, but I'm not, because they got Jalen Hurts, and their coach has specifically said they want to be a team that's a run-heavy team. So interesting to know that. But how will the Giants' offense be without Jason Garrett getting fired? Now, I know I talked about that at the beginning of the episode, Shane, about Jason Garrett getting fired. Do you think this will change the Giants' offense that much? Because, being serious and not being biased, the Giants do have potential on offense. They got Saquon Barkley, they got Kadarius Toney, Kenny Galladay, Sterling Shepard. Evan Ingram, Kyle Rudolph. So they got talent on offense. So do you think the firing of Jason Garrett will finally unleash this offense, or do you still think there'll be lightning in the bottle still being waited to be used?
I think firing Jason Garrett was a smart decision. I don't even know why you guys signed him in the first place. He's not. He's a how do I describe him? He's like he's just a coach that if you don't have any other options, you just pick him because he has experience. It's not because he's good.
Option?
It's not because he's flashy with what he calls. It's just because he has experience. But he's not good as a head coach, as an offensive play caller. He's just not that great of a coach. I mean, would he be good coaching high school football? Yeah. NFL? Not really. But the Giants do have potential. Saquon Barkley, he's special. Kyle Rudolph, I personally think you guys need to trade Evan Ingram for like a draft pick or something because Kyle Rudolph is clearly better in my opinion. Kadarius Toney, he's amazing. Yeah, I think he's going to be a future All-Pro wide receiver. But the Eagles have a very good run game, like you said with Jalen Hurts. He's a very good mobile quarterback, a very underrated mobile quarterback by a lot of people. But I think this is going to be a very interesting game.
Yeah, and I can't forget about the two Penn State running backs, Saquon Barkley and his backup, Miles Sanders. I know people don't really talk about that, but Miles Sanders was Saquon Barkley's backup, and he still put up great numbers. So I think this is going to be a very close game. I think the Giants are going to win this revenge game against the Eagles after costing them a playoff spot last year, 21-20. What about you, Shane?
I have it a little bit. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think there's going to be certain points where the Giants just shoot themselves in the foot. I have the Eagles winning 20-10. Oh, excuse me. And with that, we move on to our next game, which I think this is the second worst game this week, minus the Bears and the Lions. We have the 2-8 Jets versus the 2-8 Texans. And the Texans are 2.5-point favorites, I believe. These two teams suck. This is not going to be a very entertaining game by any means. Both of these teams, they're honestly just fighting for a top 5 draft pick. Texans beat the Titans last week, which was a big shocker. We're going to see how Zach Wilson plays this week after being benched and injured for I believe the past 5 weeks. I believe he hasn't started in 5 weeks. I believe
4 or 5 weeks. Yeah.
But there's not really much to say about this game. Not a lot of big names to be mentioned. Like we said, we mentioned Zach Wilson. I think he's the biggest player between these two teams, minus Brandon Cooks, who's on the Texans. What are your thoughts on this game, Will?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very boring game. Not going to lie. I don't think it'll be very entertaining. And one thing to point out is the Jets' other rookie, Michael Carter, the running back, is going to miss most of the season. Most of the rest of the season is he's going to be out, 4 to 5 weeks. I think he has an ankle injury, which sucks because he has been the one bright spot on the Jets offense, along with the other rookie Elijah Moore. And I really feel like the Jets have potential to be a good team when everyone develops. But they're in the middle of a rebuild. Both of these teams are. Like I said, I think the Jets are just in the middle of the rebuild. They're just going to wait for draft picks. They got the right coach. I like Robert Sale. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a good choice for the Jets. And I think they just have to wait. They can't be good in the first year at Zach Wilson. Just wait and just build your team. I think on defense, they got some playmakers. I like Quinnen Williams, the defensive tackle. Marcus May, the safety. C.J. Mosley, the linebacker. Again, the Jets are just in the middle of a rebuild, man. So they're just kind of, collecting draft picks, So I think the Jets are going to win, though. I think they're going to pull off a little upset, I guess. I think the Jets are going to win 17-16. What about you, Shane?
I have it a close game as well. However, I have the Texans winning 13-10.
Now let's move. Excuse me, I don't have COVID, I promise. Let's move into our next game. We got the Atlanta Falcons, who are 4-6, versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 2-8, and the Jaguars are 2.5-point underdogs. Now, the Falcons' offense has been dormant the last two games. They've fallen asleep at the wheel. They've been really bad. They've scored 3 points the last two games. And also, both teams have a losing streak. So the question is, which team will end it? And we had two very high-profile rookies, too. Trevor Lawrence for the Jaguars and Kyle Pitts for the Atlanta Falcons. And, Kyle Pitts has been playing amazingly. He's really been filling in for Ridley Shoes as the guy on their offense. And Cordell Patterson's supposed to be coming back, too, the running back for the Falcons. So what else do you have to add in this game between the Falcons and the Jaguars? Excuse me, Shane.
Nothing much, really. I know you're very high on Kyle Pitts. I've been starting to like his play a lot more than I did in the beginning of the year. Trevor Lawrence, I'm not a fan of Trevor Lawrence. I don't think he's the best quarterback from this draft. I never really liked Trevor Lawrence, even in college. But I think the Falcons, they're a very cold, hot team, or hot, cold team, however you want to say it. There'll be times where their offense looks amazing and their defense looks trash. And then, polar opposite, their defense looks amazing, their offense looks trash. I think Matt Ryan's hitting his slope, his downfall of his career.
Free Matty Ice. Free him.
Get him out of Atlanta. which is very unfortunate, because I always liked Matt Ryan, even though he is a rival of the Bucs. But I have the Falcons winning this game 24-10.
Now, real quick, Shane, on the topic of Matt Ryan. Now, do you think Matt Ryan gets traded at the end of the season and he goes to a team that needs a quarterback like Washington, or do you think he'll stay a Falcon for the rest of his career?
It's kind of hard to tell, especially if anything, I think he gets traded to a low profile team that has a very good draft pick, and in return they get that draft pick, and the Falcons pick a quarterback from this year's draft. It's kind of hard to tell right now at the midpoint way in the season, because anything can happen. Matt Ryan could have the best second half of the season besides any other quarterback, So I don't really have an answer for that question. I personally don't think he'll get traded until the end of the year. If he does get traded, I think it'll be to a team that doesn't really need like a rookie quarterback, but just needs a better quarterback that doesn't have a good record.
I also think the Falcons are going to win. I think they're going to win 20-13.
All right, for our next game, this is going to be a very, very interesting game. We have two great teams here, in my opinion. We have the Buccaneers, who are 7-3, versus the Colts, who are 6-5, and the Colts are 3-point underdogs. We have two MVP favorites. We have Tom Brady, obviously, 44 years old. He can juke out, Giants defenders.
Shut up.
And he can throw the ball. And Jonathan Taylor, who went off last week, and he's been going off the last couple of weeks in general. We have the Buccaneers, who I believe they're the highest point offense in the NFL, versus the Colts, who their defense is amazing. But the question is, Tampa Bay's defense, they're not playing as good as they did last year, but they've been doing what they have always done, and that is stop the run. So that will be the key point of this game, is can Tampa Bay stop the running offense of the Colts with Jonathan Taylor. Carson Wentz has been playing good this year. People were speculating, is he good? Is he bad? This was kind of a proving type of year to prove whether he's a good player, a bad player. What are your thoughts on the Colts versus the Bucs this week?
No, let me just say, I think this is going to be a great game, right? And I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be like Shane Ryder when he's down in Florida kicking ass in arena football. Yeah. Woo, go Shane. Go Shane. Go 55. Go 55. Go blue. Yeah, so Shane, like you're just gonna be chilling, like you're gonna be giving a post game interview in Florida, and I'll be like, "Yeah, go Rocket, woo woo, go Rocket, woo woo." But in all seriousness, Jonathan Taylor's a dog. Yeah, I think he's a potential MVP candidate, which would be great to see a running back finally win it. And Carson Wentz, he's been playing great all year, and I think potentially he has a chance to be comeback player of the year if Dak Prescott continues to play bad. I think it's definitely close, and people really just hate Carson Wentz and Kirk Cousins too. But I'll talk about him later when they talk about the Vikings. Those two guys are having very great years and aren't getting enough media attention and just fan attention because they're just nationally like hated by the media. Carson Wentz got benched last year. Now people hate him even though he's playing great. If you look at the numbers, same thing with Kirk Cousins. So because of that, I think the Colts are going to win 31-28. I do like the Buccaneers offense. These are two great offenses. The Colts have really underrated receivers, with Zach Pascal, Michael Pittman Jr., who I love. I'm a big fan of him, T.Y. Hilton. Everybody knows the Buccaneers receivers, Evans, Gronk, Godwin, Brown, basically a Pro Bowl team. And then you got the good running backs too, Jonathan Taylor, Leonard Fournette. This is going to be a great, great game. I not to dog on Shane and the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers are a good team, great team. But I just think that Jonathan Taylor is just on a roll, and Carson Wentz and Frank Reich are just a great quarterback coach combo. I got the Colts winning 31-28. Plus, they're the home team too, so the home field advantage doesn't matter. What about you, Shane?
I think it's going to be a great game too. I think the key is if Buccaneers can hold down Jonathan Taylor to a somewhat normal game this week. I think the Buccaneers offense will take care of what they've been doing all year. They put up 30 points against the Giants. I mean, it is the Giants, but still, it could have been a lot worse if it wasn't for a couple drop passes from Mike Evans or, drop passes that turned into interceptions. I think it could have been a worse outcome for the Giants in that game. But I do have the Buccaneers winning in a close game, 27-24.
Our next game is going to be between the Carolina Panthers, who are 5-6, against the Miami Dolphins, who are 4-7. And the Dolphins are 2-point underdogs here. Now, Cam Newton played pretty well in his return to Carolina, despite the fact that they lost. And I honestly think the Panthers could sneak into the playoffs with Cam Newton. And the Dolphins are trying to salvage their disappointing season. They had playoff hopes. They were definitely projected to be a wild card team, and that is not looking like it's going to be the case. So, Shane, how do you think Cam Newton played in this first game back with the Panthers? You think he played pretty good despite the fact they lost?
Yeah, I think the Panthers defense is what's gonna hurt them in the long run. I like I've said this multiple times. I think Cam Newton is still a great quarterback. Not obviously top 10, but he's still if you need a quarterback to get you to a Super Bowl, I would pick Cam Newton. Obviously, there's better choices out there, but if I had to, and Cam was the only choice, I would choose Cam. Obviously. He's been to one. He knows how to lead a team. He's a dual threat quarterback. The Dolphins, they're playing better than what they were in the beginning of the year, but I think Panthers are gonna make the playoffs. Being like I said earlier, when we were talking about the Saints game, I think Panthers are gonna be that other team in the NFC South that sneaks into the playoffs. I have the Panthers winning this game 21-13.
I got the Panthers winning this game too. Again, I think Cam Newton's the X factor. I think the Panthers win this game 23-17. And I think the Dolphins are going to try, a very disappointing season for the Dolphins, man. And there's nothing else to say. They had hopes of potentially being a playoff team that could maybe make a run, and, it's not even close to being like that,
So, on to our next game. We have the Titans, who are 8-3, versus the Patriots, who are 7-4. The Patriots are 7-point underdogs.
My fault. That's my bad. They're 7-point favorites. Whoops.
Oh, really? All right. I guess they're 7-point favorites. This is going to be a very underrated but very good game. Patriots are on a hot streak. They're winning. Titans came off of a very embarrassing loss to the Texans. They're still without Derrick Henry. They don't have Adrian Peterson. Obviously, they released him. The Patriots, they're playing. Mac Jones is playing great. You've said this multiple times this year. He's not, overplaying. He's not, he's just, game management. He's letting the defense do what the defense does. And he's just protecting the ball, playing very good. In my opinion, he's one of the front runners for Rookie of the Year. Great rushing offense as well with the Patriots. This is going to be a very interesting game. This is a game the Patriots need to prove that they're as good as they've been playing the last 5 or 6 weeks. What are your thoughts on this game, Will?
Yes. I think the Patriots are very good, but I think they're getting a little bit overrated. Now don't shoot me, don't shoot the messenger. I think the Patriots are good, but not as good as people are saying. I like Mac Jones. I've said that a lot. I like their team. I like Bill Belichick, but I feel like that they're not. I mean, let's be honest. If you in the AFC playoff race, who would you ever trust? Like out of all the teams in the AFC playoff race right now, like currently in the playoffs, I trust Mac Jones the least. And there's nothing against Mac Jones. It's just the fact that he's a rookie, and that's that. If you look at the AFC playoff race, let me just pull it up real fast. I apologize. I should have it up. It's me being unprofessional. But I mean, you got the Titans, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Chargers, and the Bills. Those are the current 7 teams, and the Patriots. So, Shane, now be honest with me. Who would you rather have out of those 7? Would you have Ryan Tannehill, Lamar Jackson, Mac Jones, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, or Josh Allen?
I'd rather honestly, that's a very not very difficult, but it's very odd pick concerning a lot of them haven't really won playoff games except for Patrick Mahomes. So I'd obviously go with Patrick Mahomes. He's won a Super Bowl.
But my point is you don't.
I get your point.
Mac Jones isn't the best quarterback out of any of them. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
no. Mac Jones is the word.
So
I
100% agree.
That's my main concern. Though I don't hate the Patriots, right? I just think he needs time to develop. And even if you look at the teams on the outside looking in, like teams that are still good, like the Steelers, I got no shade to them. I think Mac Jones is better than Big Ben because Big Ben's old. In all seriousness, I'm being for real. Big Ben's getting old. I just really don't trust him carrying their offense. So I do think Mac Jones is better than Big Ben. But the rest of the teams, you got Carson Wentz. I'd take Carson Wentz over Mac Jones. The Browns, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's on a messed up shoulder right now, so I'd probably take Mac Jones right now. Teddy Bridgewater, I'm taking Mac Jones. Derek Carr, I'm taking Derek Carr. So my point is like, there's very few quarterbacks in the AFC playoff race that I'm taking Mac Jones over. Very, very few. And I think that's going to be the key factor is eventually, like, what are they going to do when they face a team where their defense can't keep them in the game? They're not going to win because, Mac Jones isn't ready yet. But as of now, I think the Titans and the Patriots are, obviously 2 of the best teams in the AFC. And I think the Titans go into Foxborough and pull off an upset 27-24. What about you, Shane?
I think the Patriots are going to continue this hot streak. I do get your point on all of that, but obviously we're not in playoffs right now. They don't have to really worry about that at this moment. They're just focusing on winning games. And they came from, I think they were one of the last teams in their division in the beginning of the year, and now they lead their division. I have the Patriots winning in a very close game. I think it's going to be a game-winning drive. I have the Patriots winning 23-20.
Let's get to our next game, which is an AFC West battle. We got the LA Chargers, who are 6-4, against the Denver Broncos, who are 5-5, and the Broncos are 2.5-point underdogs. Now, both of these teams are not great against the run, and we already said the Chargers are terrible against the run. So are the Broncos, surprisingly. So expect both teams to exploit this weakness. The Broncos got a running back committee. They got Melvin Gordon and rookie Javonte Williams, and the Chargers have Austin Eckler, who had a great, great game against the Steelers. So we were talking about AFC threats, Shane. How serious do you think both of these teams in the AFC? I mean, are you like the Chargers and like both of them? How good do you think both of these teams are comparatively to the AFC? Are any of them making the playoffs? If so, how far are they making it to the playoffs? And do you see potential in either of these teams? I know it's a big question, but just give me your thoughts on both of these teams in the AFC.
I think they're in the future. These 2 teams are gonna be big stage names in their divisions. Obviously, Chargers have the Chiefs, which they're obviously not going anywhere with the run they've been on lately. With Patrick Mahomes, all that. I think Broncos, they're a very underrated team. I think both of these teams are underrated, and the Chargers started out great. They haven't been really playing well these last couple of games. But I do think they'll pick it up this week. The Broncos, they're very odd
Bipolar.
team to describe. Obviously Melvin Gordon, great running back. They have a great young crew at wide receiver. I think this is going to be a very good game. Honestly.
Can't forget about Patrick Surtain, man, the rookie corner. He's been playing great too. These are both teams with a bright future. Justin Herbert, I've loved him since he was in Oregon. And I think both of these teams have potential to make the playoffs. I think the Chargers are better, but the Broncos are a very streaky team. I mean, if the Broncos can beat the Cowboys, they can realistically beat everybody. I just really feel like it depends what team on the Broncos shows up. And same thing with the Chargers. The Chargers have played games where both of these teams are very bipolar. They're great one week, terrible the next. So this is going to be a very tough game to call. And I think the edge here is the most non-bipolar player on either team, and that's Justin Herbert. Or Keenan Allen, more specifically. Keenan Allen's great, and I think he is the X factor for this game. I got the Chargers winning 30-24 in a great AFC West game. Going to be a great running game, like I said. Can Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, tear open the Chargers? That's going to be a key factor. Can Justin Herbert just throw his way out of it? Can he just air it out to Allen? Austin Eckler, the running back, he's been great as receiver. Mike Williams, Jared Cook. It's going to be a really good game. And I think this is going to, people don't expect this to be a big, good game, but it will be a good game,
Yeah, I think the Chargers are going to pull a win out of this one as well. I have the Chargers winning 23-20. And on to our next game. What was that, Will?
Big game. This is a big game.
Yeah, indeed it is. On to our next game, we got the Rams who are 7-4 versus the Packers who are 8-3. The Rams are 1-point underdogs. This is a rematch of the NFC divisional game. The Rams have lost 2 games in a row. And they're hoping to snap that streak. The Packers have not lost this year at home at all. They're coming off of a loss against the Vikings. My bad. Had a brain fart there for a second. Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, 2 great quarterbacks playing. The Rams defense is, scary on paper. And they're obviously scary in the games as well with Jalen Ramsey, Von Miller, Aaron Donald. Just a lot of big names. The Packers. This is going to be a test for both teams to see how well. This possibly could be a Super Bowl match, or not Super Bowl matchup, NFC Championship matchup, and it's going to be a very, very good game. What are your thoughts on this, Will?
We got breaking news. Jared Goff is starting tomorrow. Just wanted to say that. He is starting. So the Lions are not looking better to win. But anyway, so back on the Packers game. Yeah, it's going to be a great game. We got the 2 best receiver corner guys going against each other, Jalen Ramsey, Devontae Adams. That's going to be fun to watch. How will Aaron Rodgers' toe be? He has a broken toe, but he insists on playing for the rest of the year and get surgery in the offseason. Will that impact him? That's going to be fun to watch. The Rams have a great offense. OBJ, Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford. Obviously, Sean McVay himself is an offensive mastermind. This is going to be a fun game, but I'm going to say the classic catchphrase for the Packers, man. It's hard to go into that frozen tundra and win. Once you're there, you lose. And the Packers are 4-0 at Lambeau this year. All of their losses besides one have been due to last minute have been right down to the wire. They lost to the Chiefs without Rodgers. They lost to the Vikings on a field goal. And then besides that week 1 blowout, the Packers are a great team. I think they're the best team in the NFL. And I think the Packers extend their, I think the Rams are going to get back on track. I think they'll lose this game, but they're still fine. I think they're still an NFC favorite. I think the Packers win 35-31, go 5-0 at home. And the Rams start a big streak, my prediction, after this game. What about you, Shane?
I think they start their streak this week. I think they're going to make a statement this week. Their defense is going to step up. I think Aaron Donald's going to ball out. As you know, he is probably the best defensive player that we've seen, obviously, this decade, and previous decade in the 2010s as well. Jalen Ramsey, I think he's the best cornerback out there. It's going to be very interesting to see him against Adams. And then obviously, Von Miller, who's a great pass rusher, run stopper. He's a great overall player. I have the Rams winning a very close game, 27-24.
Our next game we got the Minnesota Vikings, who are 5-5, against the San Francisco 49ers, who are 5-5, and the Niners are 3-point favorites. Now, these are two NFC wildcard teams who are in a must-win game. The Vikings are currently 6th in the wildcard, and the Niners are 8th. This is going to be a very good game. The Niners have won 2 in a row. The Vikings are coming off a game where they beat the Packers last minute, and I think they're much better than their record shows, both these teams. And both of these quarterbacks are having very good years and aren't getting talked about enough. You think of Jimmy G, people hate on Jimmy Garoppolo for really no reason. And people hate on Kirk Cousins again for really no reason. But Kirk Cousins has a touchdown interception ratio of 21-2, which is better than Tom Brady's. And he's thrown about just 2,800 yards. And Jimmy G, he's got his interception to touchdown ratio, 12-5, 12 touchdowns, 5 picks, which is also pretty good. And also a key factor is two superstar receivers. We got Justin Jefferson and Deebo Samuel. They're both really, really good. They're both great receivers who are young. And not to mention the run game. The Niners have always had a good run game with Kyle Shanahan, and the Vikings have Dalvin Cook. So it'll be a very great game overall on paper, and it'll be very fun to watch. What do you think about this game, Shane?
I think this is going to be, like you said, it's going to be a very interesting game. Both good running teams. Obviously, you got Dalvin Cook. Then, like you said, the 49ers always have a good running game. I do think the Vikings are way better than their record. They've just had a couple unfortunate field goal losses, if you want to call them. And they beat the Packers last week, so obviously they've shown they can be a Super Bowl caliber team. I believe they have the sixth spot in the playoff run right now. I'm not.
Yeah, that's a fact. Yep.
So obviously they're better than their record. 49ers, I think. I think they're a little bit better than their record, but I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. In my opinion, there's just too many good teams in the NFC. I think Vikings have to, win honestly, I think they gotta win almost every single game in order for them to make the playoffs. Like I said, NFC is a very tough conference. I do have the Vikings win this game, though. I have them winning 30-20. How about you, Will?
No, I'm going the Niners, man. I think they're going to pull out a good win. They need this win. Shanahan's a great coach, and George Kittle, we didn't even talk about him. He's a great tight end, and he's been on the roll recently, and I think that continues. I got San Francisco winning 30-28, and a very good game for two teams that need a win.
All right, on to our Sunday night football game. We got the Browns, who are 6-5, versus the Ravens, who are 7-3. The Ravens are 3.5-point favorites. These are two very run-heavy offenses, and they meet in a very tight AFC North battle. Baker should sit this game with that bad shoulder. He's been very high on the media these last couple of weeks, with the OBJ situation and his dad, and then his comments on other players and teams. In his last press conference, won't get too big into that. He's been playing with a torn labrum, which is pretty insane if you think about it, especially from a quarterback position. But you got Nick Chubb, you got Lamar Jackson. This is going to be a very, very good running game. I think it's going to be a very run-heavy game. I don't think you'll see a lot of passing yards being thrown up. I believe Lamar Jackson is back for this game. I'm not 100% sure. Because I believe he was out last week, but don't quote me on that. I didn't
He
really
had
pay
some type of
attention last
flu.
week.
He didn't have COVID, but he had some type of illness that kept him out.
All right, so yeah, I think Ravens, take care of the Browns this week. What are your thoughts on this game, Will?
I think Baker Mayfield's getting a lot of smoke. I mean, he's just playing. He wants to play to win, and you can't fault him. He doesn't want to sit. And I think that's a great mentality to have. But like he's playing through a torn labrum, which if you guys don't know, it's in your shoulder. Well, not in your shoulder, but like, how would you describe it, Shane? It's like in between like your pec and your shoulder, I guess, right?
It's in between. I don't know the exact location, but it is where it's where all your tendons and your muscles connect between your chest, between your shoulder, and where your collarbone is as well. So as a quarterback, that's a very I'm trying to find dangerous area, especially if you're playing with it torn. So that's where it is. Honestly, I honestly think he should sit out this game. But like you said, winners want to win. Baker wants to win. So we'll see. We'll see what if they'll send him out or not. I don't think they plan to, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and no, what just makes me annoyed about the whole situation is that people think Baker Mayfield sucks when he's like dead ass playing through a torn labrum. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, like, is he going to be playing worse? Obviously, but like, he's playing while hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guarantee you that Tom Brady playing with a torn labrum is also going to play bad. You know what I'm saying? So, the Browns, both of these teams won games at ugly wins last week. The Browns beat the Lions 13-10, and then on the other side of things, the Ravens beat the Bears 16-13 with their backup quarterback Tyler Huntley. So, it's really looking crazy from that perspective. The Browns got a bye next week, so that's good to know. And then right after their bye, they play the Ravens. So if we're playing the Ravens like in back-to-back games, which is crazy. But I think in Lamar Jackson's return, Kareem Hunt's also coming back. Like I said, he'll be back for the Browns. I think it'll be a very good game on Sunday night, and I think the Ravens will pull out though. Like I said, Lamar's back. Myles Garrett's a dog on the Browns defense, but I don't really think he'll matter that much with such a mobile quarterback like Lamar. I mean, how dynamic their rushing offense is with Latavius Murray, Devontae Freeman, Tyson Williams. So I think the Ravens are going to win a somewhat defensive game, 21-17. What about you, Shane?
I honestly don't think this game is going to be that close. I think eventually the Ravens running game is going to be too much for the Browns defense, even though they have Myles Garrett. I have the Ravens also winning, but I have them winning 30-14.
Now, our last game of the week, the Monday night game, we have the Seattle Seahawks, who were 3-7, versus the Washington football team, who were 4-6. Now the no names, Washington has won 2 games in a row against, in my opinion, playoff teams. They beat the Panthers last week and they beat the Buccaneers 2 weeks ago. And I think the main reason why they're finally winning is because their defense is stepping up. Against the Buccaneers, how many points did they hold them to, Shane? Like 20?
They held them the 19, which is, I believe, the fewest the Buccaneers have played or put up this whole year, which is pretty insane.
And then last week with the Panthers, they allowed them to 21, I think, right?
I think it was a little bit more. I think they won 30-27, but I know it was in that range of area, but yeah,
it was 21. It was 21.
Was 21.
So so they've allowed 20 points in the last 2 weeks, and also actually no, we'll go back to the last 3 weeks. So against the Broncos, they allowed 17 points. So the last 3 games, let me do some quick math for you here. On the grid, let me just do it real quick. So we got 21.
57 points they've allowed in 3 games, I believe.
Right. So now you do the math, Shane. 57 divided by 3. Boom. That's 19 points a game, which is outstanding. 19 points a game is very, very good. And I think that's why Washington – now, according to ESPN, it's Taylor Heineke. I completely disagree. I mean, come on. I'm not a fan of Taylor Heineke. People think he's the savior, blah, blah, blah. They're just baboons. I just can't stand it. This media narrative is trying to tell you that Taylor Heineke is better than Baker Mayfield, right? Because this is what they do. But again, no shade. There's no shade to Heineke. He doesn't write these stories about himself. But the reason why they're getting back on track is their defense, and their team is finally becoming healthy. Terry McLaurin's a dog. I'm a big fan of Terry McLaurin. Logan Thomas, the tight end, is finally getting healthy, which is good. But you flip it around, you look at the Seahawks, they're the complete opposite. They had high expectations, and now they're won 3 games out of 10. And I think that's mainly because of Russell Wilson's injury and the fact that they've been playing terrible the last 2 games. They scored 6 points against the Cardinals. I don't think they scored a single touchdown. And then against the Packers, they got shut out. So they're kind of they've scored 13 points. So, scoring 13 points in 2 games is very bad. And I think the Seahawks will pull out a victory here, but I think it'll be a very low-scoring game. What are your thoughts on this game, Shane, between the Seahawks and Washington?
You basically said what I was going to say. Washington's defense has stepped up. Taylor Heineke, I think he's getting a little bit overhyped. I still think he's considerably really good considering he was a substitute teacher at one point, and now he's out here beating Tom Brady, which, whether it was good defense or not, that's as someone at the caliber as Taylor Heineke, that's an amazing accomplishment. But, Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, they've been struggling all year. Obviously, Russell Wilson, with his finger injury. I do think the Seahawks pick it up in this game, but I do think it is going to be low scoring as well. I have the Seahawks winning 17-16.
And I have an even lower scoring game. This is probably the lowest score I've ever given on my podcast. 14-10. I think the Seahawks are going to win 14-10. A very slow game, very defensive game. And I think that the X factor will be Russell Wilson finally being healthy and finally pulling out the win that he so desperately needs to keep the playoff chances alive and to keep the Seahawks season alive. So we're going to go into our games of the week. Then we're going to go over the picks record, and then we're going to wrap it up. My game of the week is the Los Angeles Rams versus the Green Bay Packers. Rematch of a divisional game last year, my bad. You got Jalen Ramsey versus Devontae Adams, Matthew Stafford versus Aaron Rodgers. The NFC North rivalry comes back. And overall, it's just going to be a very fun game on offense. For each team offense, you got, A.J. Dillon, Darrell Henderson, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, OBJ, Tyler Higbee. It's just a great Marquez Valdes-Scantling with a great game against the Vikings. Overall, it's going to be a fun game to watch. And then on the defense, you got Aaron Donald, as I said, Kenny Clark for the Packers, Jalen Ramsey, Von Miller, Adrian Amos, Darnell Savage. It's going to be a fun game to watch. And it'll be definitely one of the best games of the year. You're right, James.
My game of the week will be the Buccaneers versus the Colts. I think Tampa Bay, they really they've really gone under the radar after losing 2 straight games to the Washington football team, and then to the I can't remember who else they lost to, but anyways,
the Saints.
The Saints. I think this is a key game for the Buccaneers, especially against that Colts defense, and it's going to be a test for the Buccaneers defense as well to see if they can stop Jonathan Taylor and obviously Carson Wentz. It's also a big game for the Colts. If they beat the Bucs, who knows? Colts I believe they'll end up being 7-5, and it's going to change up the AFC playoff picture a lot if the Colts beat the Buccaneers. But we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be a very interesting game.
The good news is about the Buccaneers is they're definitely one of their toughest games. I think the Buccaneers, they have this game plus the Bills, but besides that, their schedule is very easy. Well, besides they have a tough game against the Jets. That might be a tough one, right, Chan?
Yeah. That's
but in all seriousness,
I'm sweating about that one.
And shaking in your boots, huh?
Yeah.
But that's going to conclude this episode of the Gridiron Talk podcast, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.
You gonna talk about the picks here, Will, or you just gonna?
Oh yeah, I almost forgot that one right over my head. So the picks record is Shane is winning. My record is 27-31. His record is 31-27. Overall, it's pretty close, but I'm gonna catch up to that Rider Rocket and ride that Rider Rocket. Pause. Pause on that. That was a little sauce, right, Shane?
Anyways.
But so that's going to conclude the this episode of the Gridiron Talk podcast, guys. Once again, shout out my boy Joey Christmas for making the thumbnail. Like I said, Justin Jefferson, Aaron Rodgers, and Jalen Hurts. If you guys want to know more about the Raiders, again, please don't forget to check out my podcast on UltimateSportsNetwork.com. Raider Nation Today, where me and Joey give you every news about the Las Vegas Raiders that you can think of. Scores, news, everything. We talk about the Raiders. And for the Raiders, we talk about it, man. So please check it out for me. I'll give the link in below. Or if you want to listen to the every episode of the Gridiron Talk podcast, if you missed an episode, you just want to hear us talk about football teams, go check that down below. Check out my channel too. If you want to hear last season stuff, I know it's relatively old stuff, but if you want to hear my podcast from last year again, please check it out. Don't forget to like this, comment, subscribe, share it to your friends and family. And yeah, Shane, do you have anything else to add?
No, not really. Obviously we do our podcast together on Thursdays, but with Thanksgiving tomorrow, we're not gonna. We're obviously doing it today. Hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. Eat some turkey, ham, whatever you eat on Thanksgiving. Please don't, fall asleep too early on the Bears-Lions game. But I hope everybody has a safe travels if you're traveling for family, friends, whatever. I hope everybody has a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Yep, everyone have a great Thanksgiving. Again, really means the world to me and Shane that you guys check out our podcast. We do put a lot of work and effort into this. Have a great Thanksgiving with your family, guys. I know for some people who were really seriously impacted by COVID, this may be your first Thanksgiving in a couple of years. So that's very exciting. I know, luckily, thank God, it really didn't affect my family, but I understand that it may have affected other people really seriously. So stay safe out there. Have a good Thanksgiving, guys. Don't forget to check our next podcast episode, which will be on Thursday. To talk about week 13 and go over briefly what happened this coming week. And also, don't forget that if you want to hear my next episode of my new podcast with the Raiders, that's going to be on Saturday today. Usually it's on Fridays, but because of Thanksgiving, we're moving it to Saturday. And like I said, take it easy, guys. Have a good weekend. Go Michigan, beat Ohio State. Go Georgia, beat Georgia Tech. Right, Shane?
Yawn, Georgia Tech. Yawn.
Yeah,
I expect at least 45 points to be put up by Georgia, and I hope Big Blue honestly beats Ohio State because I can't stand Ohio State, and I want to beat the Michigan in the playoffs as well.
Wait, hold on. Let me ask Siri live on the Gridiron Talk podcast what the spread is for the Georgia game, Shane, because I know these always crack you up. All right, so hold on, hold your horses. What's the spread for the Georgia football game, Siri?
Those in the know say that Georgia will defeat Georgia Tech by 35 points.
I'm pretty sure, last week they put up, I believe, 63 points against that unknown team. Fun fact, me and Will were playing Madden, and I showed him the percentage. Or no, we were out to dinner at Tully's, and I showed the percentage of last week's game of who's going to win, and Georgia had a 99.9% win expectation to win that game, and obviously they won. But yeah, Georgia's going to win. Ohio State, they better lose. Yeah, that's all I got to say.
Wait, one more. Let me hold on. Think real quick. I know that was funny. Hold on. Let's check out the spread for Georgia's game last week against Charleston Southern. Let's check out the spread. What was the spread for Georgia's game against Charleston Southern, Siri?
Which sport? Basketball.
Come on.
I couldn't find any upcoming Georgia, Charleston Southern games.
All right, well, she ruined it, but basically the spread was like plus 50 Georgia. So, so yeah. But that's going to be it, guys. Take care. Have a great Thanksgiving. Watch a lot of football this weekend. We have football for 4 days in a row. That's awesome. Thursday, Friday for high school. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So Thursday through Monday, football. It's going to be great. Have a great Thanksgiving, guys. Don't forget to watch the game tomorrow and take it easy. See you guys. Thanks for listening.